So yeah, we did student housing for probably the first 4 years. So from when I was 20 to probably about 24, I was big in the single family space and student housing. And then really I just had a mindset shift, Charles, where I was like, I know there are guys out there taking down these big deals, how do they do it? And I started researching syndication and other people's money and really commercial real estate as a whole. And that journey really started right at the end of 2022. And then here we are, or whatever, 6 months later in May of 2021, we went under contract for a 141 unit mobile home park portfolio. So it just goes to show a mindset shift is really the blossoming. It's the start of all success, right? I think it was Napoleon Hill who said, all great things start with a burning desire. So there you go.
Absolutely. So if we're quoting great quotes, everyone's going to hear my new favorite quote, which is Bill Gates, that success is the worst teacher. And I believe me, I've learned that so hard. But let's go back, because I'll tell you right now, Jesse, I have had so many people on my podcast talking about mobile home parks, and it is so foreign to me. But I listen to what you guys have to say, and it just like, wow, that's wild. But it scares the daylights out of me, and I'll tell you why as we go through this conversation. So let me first off start by asking you the question: where'd you learn about mobile home parks? Who taught you the ins and outs of mobile home parks?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I came across it just from listening to podcasts and stuff like that. And, just podcast mentors like Brandon Turner on Bigger Pockets and other guys, Ryan Murdoch. The list could go on, who are crushing it over at Open Door Capital right now. So really just came across the space like that. And I really love their mentality of, what's the hotness with mobile home parks? And it's like, I like to view myself, Charles, as almost like a contrarian where everyone's looking left, Charles, and I look right to find that opportunity to identify that underlying pattern that not everybody can see. And I think, investing in...
It took me years to get that viewpoint. It took me years. I was always like, the market's going this way, I'll follow the market as well. And instead of being that contrarian, which is so key. That's anyone listening right now should think about it, especially young people right now. Don't follow the market, find that contrarian viewpoint. But let me ask you, there are two guys that are out there teaching mobile home park investing. Do you know who I'm talking about? Do you know their names?
Yeah, you're talking about Frank and Dave. Yeah.
Okay, that's exactly right. I don't even remember the names, but I know that they're always, everyone I ask that question to, it's always a first name, Frank and Dave. So those two guys. But here's the problem. I've found those two guys that you guys paid the money to go see at a boot camp turn out to be your biggest competitor when you're out there trying to find deals. Because these guys, it's a limited market. It's a very closed market for mobile home parks. And you guys are out there competing against Frank and Dave, who are like, they've got your money now and they're using it against you. And so how'd you find this deal that Frank and Dave didn't find?
Yeah, great question. And I would tell you that this deal was on market for it went on market at the early, right before COVID in January of 2020, and was under contract several times throughout 2020, but the buyers fell through due to lending issues during COVID. Okay. So really...
Okay, hold on right there, because I get that all the time. And I want to make sure that we clarify that. People, when you ask the broker why this deal came back on the market, he'll say, the buyer couldn't perform. The buyer couldn't perform. It isn't that the buyer couldn't perform. It's that the property couldn't perform. And so you came to that realization that the property couldn't get the financing. The property couldn't perform. It wasn't the other people. So what was going on with this property that made it so tough?
Yeah, I think that they were having some issues with people paying and stuff like that with COVID, and net operating income was drastically decreasing during COVID and stuff like that. But really the way around it and how we got around this deal, Charles, was just persistence and following up with the seller and the broker. To a point where I'm handwriting letters to the seller telling him how much I love his property and I wish him the best and stuff like that. And then we found a creative financing solution that cut the banks out of it. And it's what was able to allow us to get it under contract.
Okay, two questions. First off, I love the fact that you were the last guy standing. You were the last guy standing. Sometimes, folks, that's all it takes is you hang in the deal longer than anybody else, and it's yours. You get to keep it. So that's how you did it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of persistence and just following up constantly. And I've always, obviously, there's always going to be deals in the pipeline, but I'm big on the follow up. You know, if you want, a deal isn't dead, and I'll tell this to anybody, a deal isn't dead just because it's under contract. Like, you need to be following up on a monthly basis. If you're not following up, Charles, better believe that I am, and I'm going to be the last one standing to get that deal.